What is up, guys? Eric here from Real Film Reviews, bringing you another movie review, this time for the new Stephen King adaptation, The Dark Tower. The Dark Tower is directed by Nikolaj Arcel, stars Idris Elba, Matthew McConaughey, and Tom Taylor. It is the adaptation of an extremely well-known Stephen King book series of the same name. It tells the story of a young boy who has these weird visions of another world where there is this tower that basically controls almost happiness and protects the whole world, and if it were to fall, then hellfire and demons and all kinds of crazy stuff would come and destroy everything that everyone loves. Now, in this film, he eventually finds out that this is a real thing and goes into a different sort of dimension where he meets Idris Elba's character, who is a gunslinger and is trying to hunt down the man in black played by Matthew McConaughey, who is working to take the tower down. Now, when I explain that to you, it probably sounds like a pretty awesome story that has a lot of crazy, cool backstory where you learn all this cool stuff about the world and you get to learn about these new characters and different beings and all of their different abilities, but this film is really lacking in that department. Now, Idris Elba actually is absolutely phenomenal as the gunslinger. Matthew McConaughey does a really good, Matthew McConaughey whisper talking as a bad guy, and he does a good job in the film. I liked his character, like he's solid in the role, and Idris Elba was really good. And then Tom Taylor, who plays the kid in the film, actually gives a really solid child performance in the movie, a lot better than I was expecting. I was worried because he's not really known for anything, which obviously isn't much to say about a child actor, but I didn't really know what to expect going into it, but he actually really impressed me because his character has quite a few emotional sequences that he has to sell, and I actually thought he did really well, and then also his back and forth with Idris Elba was really good on screen. Arcel does a pretty good job with the action sequences. While none of them really stood out as being absolutely amazing, they did have some pretty cool moments. There's some kind of cool little effects that they did with them, but nothing too mind-blowing. And then it also has this really epic story. The story seems so epic, and it has such a wide universe to work through, but this movie just really forgets about it almost and rushes through everything. The script gives this movie no time to build whatsoever. It just throws you into the story and then you're just there, and then everything just keeps happening at way too fast of a pace to where nothing gets built up. There's no emotion in the heavier sequences. There's no real suspense because you haven't been built or gotten to learn about this world. There's very little world building, which is something that's so important with a film like this, especially one that it's pretty obvious they wanted to make more of since it's such a popular book series. But the film invested barely at all into telling us any of the backstory of this crazy world. It's a pretty rare occasion when a film doesn't have enough exposition. There are lots of movies that have way too many scenes of just a guy talking so you can learn things, but I would have gladly accepted some sequences in this film like that, because so much of it is just told through little tidbits where you'll learn a little fun fact about this world, but I want true backstory. I want to feel immersed in this world that they are in, because it plays such an integral part of the story that the fact that you know so little about it and so little about the characters and the creatures that live there, that it makes it that much harder to become attached to the story on its own. And I really think that they would have benefited from having some sequences where Idris Elba's character has to explain it to Tom Taylor because he's a little kid and he doesn't know where they are. He doesn't know what's going on. So he explains to him what happened in the world, how they got to where they are, and then he could do the same about Earth, which would make for a comedic sequence for us. But instead it just leaves all that behind and says, no, let's just push this whole film that's supposed to feel so epic into 90 minutes so that way it never gets slow with exposition. Instead, we'll just give them basically none. The few sequences in the film that do have some true drama or true emotion in them are rushed past also. It's like a quick little oh, I'm so sad this thing happened, or oh, I don't like you, or anything like that, and then 30 seconds later, that thing has been fixed. It's like, oh no, we're chill now, everything's all good, don't worry about it, that thing that happened doesn't really matter anymore. And it just didn't make any sense, because some of them are very heavy plot points, and they just are passed by within less than 5 minutes, and they just stop affecting the characters in the film, which just felt really empty to me. I'm gonna give The Dark Tower a C. If you're a fan of fantasy films that sort of have a grounded element to them and that they feel almost realistic just with these weird, sort of like fantastical moments, I would recommend this movie. It's far from a bad film, it just really lacks so much in the exposition and the understanding of this world that you're in that you really just don't get attached to anyone or anything in the film. While some of it looks cool and it seems like a really cool universe, the script doesn't work enough to sort of teach you about it so you can really care. Well guys, as always, I'm Eric. If you enjoyed this review, please do like, subscribe, comment down below what you thought of The Dark Tower, share everything we do here on Real Film Reviews, and hope to see you guys later.